What's up, everyone? Deep Waters. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, that means you haven't watched the series, Deep Water series. I mean, apparently, it's the hottest new thing on YouTube, right? It's the best series that's ever been made. I don't know. That's at least what one person said. So I'll take that guy's compliment. I know a lot of y'all like the series, and it's probably the only one I'm gonna do like that. No, I'm just playing. I'm gonna keep doing these things. Now, am I gonna do them on every tournament? No, it has to be, everything kind of has to go right. Not in the sense of like I have to do good or anything like that. It just, I have to get all the footage. My camera can't mess up over days. I don't want to do it on a one-day deal. I like the 2-day, at least a 2-day tournament. And we should have more of these, right? I even looked on the schedule. We got a different tournament series going out next year that I think is going to be 2 days. Yeah, so I even got more of them to do. But I like the 2 days. It's because of the adjustments, right? The practice and the adjustments lets me showcase what happens over days, right? And what happens over weather patterns, pressure of the lake, and just, you know, different situations. I think it helps more. I think it doesn't matter that it's just a tournament setting. I think it relates to everything about fishing. So, yes, I will do more of these, I promise. And hopefully they're all mainly team events. Just because I think there's so much more to get in the team events, and hopefully what'll be a lot cooler is if it doesn't blow the whole time, because then you'll be able to hear more of what's going on. Okay. So, Brent was on vacation, doing some things. I couldn't get him on, and I'm trying to keep these videos going. So, but I talked to him, and what I'm gonna do is forget doing a video like this. I think we're just gonna try to do a live video. That way y'all can ask some questions to him, to me. I'm gonna try to find a day that works best for him. And if you go to like my homepage, the minute I find out, I'll leave a comment saying, hey, when it's gonna go out. So I want y'all to be a part of that. That way y'all can ask a bunch of questions. For me, him, everything, and maybe he can do his whole process of what was going on in his head. And like I said, ask him about some dance moves. You know, I mean, he's got more of them. You never know with that guy. Okay. Now, the video I'm making now, it's kind of this weird deal. When we get done with tournaments, so many of us like call each other up. So like, I call Hallman up or Andrew up, and we talk about the opens, right? Even when we get done with this tournament, me and Brent, and we got hours on the way home from traveling from these places. We talk about all the different things, everything that went down in the tournament, what could have gone down, what we think we missed, what we would have liked to go on the next day. I can't tell you how many times in tournaments I get done and just wish I could go out there the next day. This was one of them. This was one of the ones where obviously y'all know why. We would have loved to go on out there for a day 3 if there was one. I mean, we would have, you know what we would have done. I mean, we would have gone there, never left, and I think just crushed on them. But we still would have done some different things. That's what we want to talk about. So, first off, I want to go over all of it all at once. I think I can cover everything in one video. Here's what I look at from the very beginning. There's going to be some obvious stuff, right? But there's some other things I think. One is this. We still get caught up in so many things. And what I mean by that is we look at, everyone tries to dumb it down sometimes. And we do too. It's like, hey, look, it's hot, it's summertime, they're gonna be deep. Missed it. Hey, we caught a whole bunch of fish shallow, they're all small. Missed it, right? I'm not saying the tournament won 1 out deep. What I'm saying is, doesn't mean you actually had to go out there and catch them like that. And I think you could have won the tournament shallow. I think second place caught them shallow. They might have been 1 or 2 fish away from maybe winning it. I don't know. I think we were 1 or 2 fish away from maybe winning. So I don't really know what everyone else did. I know what some of the guys did, but not everyone. So I look at a place like this, and I look at the tournament and go, man, we spent a lot of time deep. We forced this deep issue. And although people caught them deep, I think a lot of people didn't catch them deep. Like, I think a lot of the guys that fish deep struggled. And so I just would have liked to have gone back and had maybe not necessarily one day of practice. I think if you watch the tournament, we tried to keep everything open and do different things, and we did. But even me, I don't think we even kept everything open. I don't even think we tried enough stuff. And I heard a lot of guys talk about that in their comments going, man, y'all did a whole bunch of different things. To us, not really. Like, we kept on trying. We were pretty good. I don't think we were perfect. I think we could have like, maybe we didn't look at everything particularly the right way. We figured out a whole bunch of neat stuff, and I think we did good, don't get me wrong, but there were still some things, right? Looking back, we still never got enough bites deep. Like, we stayed deep so much without getting hardly any bites. And I granted, we got a ton of bites shallow, but we didn't catch anything big shallow. So, I look back going, okay, but we still in the back of our heads still looked at the shallow bite as a way to get bit, not a way to win. And we kept telling ourselves that the deep bite was the way to win. I think we were wrong in that aspect. This is the one I don't know. I can't tell you all this. Everyone's going to have all these suggestions. I get it. This isn't a thing that I'm trying to fix. It's just an observation, okay? So yes, looking back, I love it when you look back and everyone goes, well, you should have done this. Well, yeah, of course we should have done that. We just didn't know to. We tried to take everything in and process it all. Where we started was probably not the best place to start. But I told y'all that in the video. We didn't really know. You could hear me and Brent trying to decide what we were going to do because our first place that we wanted to start, like our first 2 or 3 places, were all taken from guys in other tournaments that weren't even fishing our tournament. And then we decided right there, because we had already gone too far and bypassed some other things. I don't know what we should have really done. I do now. I mean, I do, but we didn't know about this area, right, where we caught a whole bunch of them. We didn't know about that. So that's a tough one, right? But once again, sometimes spots that looked, we tried to do the whole community thing, right? We tried to start on the community stuff and burn that and then go do other stuff. I don't say it's a wrong decision, it just didn't work out, right? Everything else, I don't really think we messed up on bait selections on where we were. I still think the Carolina rig was the way to go. I think we mixed it up enough. I think we tried cranking a whole bunch. I don't think that was an issue. The tree deal, if looking back, one of the hardest things to do in these tournaments, and I bring this up, so guys, if you don't fish tournaments, don't look at this as just a tournament thing. Look at this as an entire lake thing. And what I mean by that is this, is a lot of y'all aren't getting to go out there till Saturday. So there's a whole bunch of pressure on the lake, which changes places. And what I mean by that is, like, places that look good, that should have fish, they probably do. It's just a pressure thing. So that's why we're always trying to venture off and find unpressured fish. And those trees were unpressured fish. And so you look around and you see all these guys fishing these certain points in these road beds and all these things. And if you're a guy that can go out there in the middle of the week, I'd hit that stuff. If you're a guy that can't and has to fish on weekends, man, you got to start broadening your mind and looking at things going, okay, I'm going to go where people aren't. I'm going to go do stuff that no one else is doing. I'm going to go try to find an area where no one's at, or go out deep, or go do something different, rather than looking around going, all these people are in 14 foot of water fishing points and things like that. Sometimes that's okay, but for the most part, from what I've learned, there's always another way to catch them. There's always another way to catch them. And here's the great thing. If you're the first one to figure that out, it's amazing. It's like you get to go crush on fish, okay? So I tell you all that, and I explain all that for a reason. Like, that's what I want y'all to do, is open y'all's minds to go do that and to look at a lake like you've never looked at a lake before. I try to do that all the time, even with lakes I've known for 15 years. Sometimes I drive out there and go, okay, what have I never really done? Or I've always tried these same things. Let me look at something in a different manner. And you're going to fail a lot doing that, right? It's not always going to work. There's a reason why no one's doing it. right? Because they haven't figured it out. But if you do, get ready. Like, changes your whole aspect of that lake on what you're doing. It's phenomenal. So I encourage y'all to do that. So I looked at those trees. Like, if I wanted to go back out there, I'm like, man, I would mess around those trees some more. Tournament situation, I still wouldn't have changed anything about how we fished them in practice. But if I was just out there fun fishing, man, I would have probably never left that area. I'd have just kept on messing around that area for the rest of the day, and cranked them and Carolina rigged them and wormed and moored, done all this thing. Like, take the tournament side out of it. I'd have just messed with those trees and figured out, man, that you might have been able to win the tournament there. I don't know. Like I said, we try to figure those things out in the tournament, not in practice sometimes. And like I said, we did have some wind issues to where we couldn't fish them all. But there was some time in there. Obviously, when we were catching them late in the day, we could have gone over there, but we decided not to. You know, you're not supposed to leave fish that are biting. We left fish in an area biting, but still stayed with the same pattern, and it kept working, right? So it's one of those deals where sometimes you don't want to leave the area, but we felt pretty confident that we could do this in multiple places, and we were right. The thing I would say the most is this. There was something to where Brent caught that big one on day one and where we saw that one blow up. That was shallow. Okay, there were more places like this. Guaranteed on this body of water, we would have just had to hunt for it more. And it obviously wasn't that great in the morning time. It must have gotten really good in the afternoon. And so we would have kept that in mind. Like, after 12, we would have gone and stayed with that longer and seen how that happened. Like I said, you can take the tournament out of it. Let's just talk fishing in general, right? We would have gone and thrown top waters and cranked for the rest of the day and just looked for 5 foot or less of boring bank, of boring nothings, of anything that might have a flat, a ridge, something that was different down those boring nothing banks that no one was fishing. And I'm not talking about the banks with the grass. I'm talking about no grass, none of that stuff. Just like some rock, some something. And we wouldn't have always known it was rock, but we would have just kind of middled around that whole giant area, because a lot of that lake is like that. That was something we would have gone and done, and I think caught really big ones. That was a way to maybe catch big ones, maybe not the way to be that consistent. This is the last thing I'll say. That grass, I don't know where the grass was like everywhere else on the lake, because we didn't go everywhere else. I know there was other places like it. Obviously we even went a mile or two away from where we caught them and did it. I think there was miles of it. I think there was places on the other side of the lake, further up north. There's definitely other places. Some of them might not have been as big, but we saw it differently. What I think we missed was, I think there was a flipping bite. I think there was more fish out in that grass. I personally think, and I don't know if I'm right, I think those fish were living in the grass and then like pushing up to different sections of that grass to feed. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that you couldn't have caught them when they left. I just think they pushed up. I think they were moving in and out of grass in sections of that entire grass, but they were living in that giant area. So I think as the afternoon went along, I think those fish might have gotten closer to clumpier and thicker grass. And so when I said, hey, for that last hour, if we had another day, we probably would have just gone and like flipped it or wormed it or even top watered it with the frog like Brent wanted to, really, really slow. And go, hey, we don't need 20 bites to do good. Maybe if we frog fished for an hour, we get 2 bites, but they're both over 5, right? That's the way I look at frog fishing sometimes. Sometimes it's a way to catch a whole bunch, or sometimes it's just a way to catch a big one. So we would have messed around that giant flat randomly, like, and not try to dial it in, because we weren't dialed in on that stuff. We would have just gone randomly looking for more or less a way to get a bite, because I think they were in that whole area, like in that, like I was telling you, like there was just acres and acres of grass. We would have eventually found them, and I don't think they would have been hard to catch. We would have just had like, do you have to flip them? Could you frog them? Could you just like Texas rig worm them? Were they in the thicker stuff, the holier stuff? Like, I don't know. That's something I would have tried more. Couldn't have figured it out in an hour or two. I know for a fact I fished that way. It wouldn't have been easy to go do, but I think we would have tried it. That's probably what I look back on and going, you know, that's something I would have liked to do. Like I said, I don't have a problem with a lot of our decisions. I thought we made really good decisions. We didn't stay anywhere too long. We didn't do anything too long and didn't get bit. We didn't like, I hear of guys all the time going, man, I probably stayed there for 4 hours without a bite and they never turned on. No, for us, a long time was like 45 minutes would be a long time staying somewhere without a bite. That's a long time to us. Sometimes it's like 15, 20 minutes. We relied too much on places that we were hoping weren't going to get fish for as much. And that's a hard one to do when you're fishing a tournament with a bunch of people and the lake's not giant and you see them in practice. But it was very evident in the tournament that we started seeing people on the same places. And we try to stay away from those places as well. Showed us once again that it's so hard to find places where no one's fishing. There was a boat out there in the middle of the lake. I don't know what they were doing. I went back and looked at the map and saw tons of humps, right? And what'll happen is we were catching most of our fish out deep in that 14-foot range, but we weren't getting a lot of bites, right? And I think a lot of people stayed in that range. I saw some humps out there that were like 20 and 24 and stuff. And I'm going, yeah, I'd have gone out there. No one was out there. And maybe there was no fish. Once again, if I looked at that lake as a person who either lives there or trying to figure out some things, that's another place I'd go and look. Like there were some things out there that we're going to try to do. But for the most part, I was pretty happy with our decision. We put a lot of stuff on the line and did a lot of different things. I mean, figured things out in the tournament. Guys, some of y'all in y'all's comments got it. I mean, like got it. Like y'all were looking at it and going, man, I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have tried that with 2 hours left. Like the way you ran through baits and covered water and didn't mind switching. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted to enlighten y'all on this series, is that's going on with some people. Like at the top level, guys are doing that. They're going off script from what they did in practice. They're trying things out. What y'all don't see is what I've always said. Y'all don't see the process of them getting there. So y'all just think, oh, he's throwing a swim bait. Man, he might not have ever thrown a swim bait in practice or in tournament day one or day two, but then he saw something like got him to go, hey, this might work. And y'all never saw that process happen. So I'm trying to show y'all that there is processes sometimes of that happening, and this was ours. So my next video, okay, I got 2 more videos. I talked about the first one with Brent. My next one, like I said, the last one is going to be, I'm going to get all my rods, reels, line, baits, and go over all that stuff, show y'all how the setups were, everything like that. Appreciate y'all on this journey. I've absolutely loved it. Loved all the comments. I've read every one of them. Y'all know I have. I responded to them all. And I'll be honest with you guys, man, it made me feel really good that I did something like different and interesting enough for all y'all to go, hey, this was some of the best series I've ever seen, enlightening stuff. Yeah, man, I want to do more of it. From y'all's comments, it makes me want to do more of it. I promise y'all. So I'm going to be more thoughtful of it, right? When practice and the tournaments are going on, I'm going to try to be more mindful of how maybe I can make this series better. So I will work on that. So hopefully the next series is even better than this one. I think it will be. But I appreciate it, guys, and stick around. Like I said, I'm going to have Brent on, and we're going to go over his thoughts and do some questions, and we might even do a live video. I don't know. Thank you so much, guys, for following along, and yeah. Next time, hopefully we'll have another one with the W in there. Anyways, see y'all, guys.